I'm Stephanie Essen. This is IDC Weekly. In this episode, we share with you an amazing immersive experience created using an Intel Core i9 processor from Master of Shapes, an LA-based interactive design studio. We just released a video showcasing a collaboration with Master of Shapes that featured their VR go-kart, so if you haven't yet, go check it out. Master of Shapes is known for transporting people out of reality through interactive installations. For over a month, the Master of Shapes team conceptualized, designed, and programmed the experience while their friends at Canopy LA handled the immersive 360 audio. Then, in just 4 days, the team transformed a giant, empty warehouse into a lush, green jungle. In this interactive multi-world experience, participants move through a jungle to find a hidden portal to alternate realms. Users control their flight patterns through multiple worlds via a controller and encounter breathing, undulating alien botanicals with 360 spatialized audio. Their goal was to combine the power of true spatial audio with that of an advanced CPU to create as much audio and visual complexity as they could imagine. This entailed transforming a large warehouse space into a robust recording environment. The build had 3 principal steps. Build 15-foot hexagonal LED structures to act as a pathway and a rear projection screen, create a jungle, and program the experience and audio using Unreal Engine 4. The space they used to create the experience was large enough for users to walk down a trail. After assembling the hexagons, they built a lake around the base of the portal, filled the space with plants to simulate a jungle, and hung speakers for a Dolby Atmos setup. They even brought in real mulch to create the feeling of walking outside as users follow the jungle path to the main experience screen. Read the full article that highlights the creative process and gives in-depth technical steps for this amazing botanical experience. Check out the links to get inspired, and I will see you all next Monday.
Thanks for watching this video. If you liked it and haven't seen any of our other videos, subscribe to the Intel Software YouTube channel. You can also connect with other developers and enthusiasts in the comments. See you all next time.